why right to buy mortgages get declined. There's key reasons why the mortgage application get declined. I see it all the time, and most of it could have been avoided if you had the conversation early. So, number one, lenders do not like rent arrears. So if you can't afford to pay your rent, how are you going to pay a mortgage? So as a responsible lender, the lenders won't want to lend to someone that cannot afford the mortgage. And this also ties into CCJs, defaults, missed payments, payment arrangement, anything that would indicate that you are under pressure with your finances, and questionable properties. This is the other thing to keep in mind. What I mean by questionable properties, a lot of council right to buy properties are a little bit older, or they may have open balconies, or they may not have fire risk assessments, or they may have cladding issues, depending on when you're watching this video. So this is the other reason why you want to get a broker involved early, that they can assess the actual property. So it may not be that you don't qualify for a mortgage. You may be perfectly suitable. You may have a great credit rating. You may have the affordability, but the lender might look at the individual property and say that this is not mortgageable. If you speak to a broker very early, they'll be able to do the research and look at the property and see what lenders would actually lend on that property. Because you may find that although you as an individual qualify for one of the top tier lenders, the property itself is not a property that they would lend in. So you might need to go to a specialist lender. So this underscores and emphasizes the reason why speaking to a broker early and assessing what you're going to need to do is important. As I said, the CCJs and defaults, that's a no-brainer. So make sure that you're not missing payments, you're not going on payment arrangements. But if you are, make sure that you're open and honest with your broker, that they know these things in advance, that they can put you with the right lender. The entire process can take months, and sometimes time is on your side. So it may be that you do have some late payments, you do have an unsatisfied CCJ, but you can clear those things well in advance of actually starting the mortgage application. So I have clients who they started the application, months ago, and it took a year or a year and a half to actually get the mortgage. And that's not because of them. That's because you're dealing with a council, and the councils are overwhelmed. So the things that you want to do is improve or maintain your credit score. So if you already have a good credit score, make sure you maintain it. If you have small things that you're paying out on, quite often it's better to pay those things off than to have money saved up. So if you have £10,000 in savings but £3,000 worth of credit cards bills, make sure to just pay off the £3,000. It will save you money in the long run. Save as much as you can to make sure you understand the budget, because there are other things beyond the deposit that you'll pay for. And don't miss deadlines. I see this frequently. People's lives are busy, and I understand that. Life happens, we have families. But the thing with a right to buy process is there are some deadlines. So the council will give you deadlines on certain things. Don't miss those deadlines. And if you feel that things are dragging on, always stay in contact with the council. Keep them updated. If you need additional time for things, speak to them and make sure you document your conversations. I've seen people who have just fumbled the ball by not following up with the council, and then they miss the deadline, and then they say, oh, well, it's the council's fault. But maybe the council had sent them some type of notification and they didn't see it, or they didn't receive it. And you could be losing a lot of money on the right to buy discount. So make sure that you follow up. Make sure you set time aside to fill in the mortgage application. It's really important that you use the time that is on your side to benefit you, and make sure you get the very best mortgage. The big mistakes that I see people make when they're doing a right to buy, I'm going to explain that. And I want to spend some time on this because this is really important. First thing is not thinking about all of the costs. So yes, you may be able to use, or in most cases, you can use the council right to buy discount as your deposit, but there are other costs involved. So you want to make sure that you budget for these costs. What are the costs? One of the costs will be my fee, the broker fee. I do advise that you use a broker and don't go directly to your bank simply because, especially with a right to buy, there are a lot of moving parts, and your bank, as amazing as they may not be able to offer you the mortgage on the property. So, whilst you might be a great mortgage candidate, that specific property may be problematic, and therefore you will need to speak to a broker that can assist you with that. So make sure that you're speaking to a broker, you're being open and honest, because the top mistake that people make is that they don't calculate all the costs. So they don't think about the fact that you may have to pay solicitors' fees, not only your fees, but the fees of the lender, and application fees, valuation fees. There are fees that are involved. Some of them come out of your pocket, others are paid through your solicitor. Not having the right names on the council right to buy letter. So the council right to buy application in a lot of cases must match the mortgage application. So if there are three people on the right to buy application, the RTB1, then there need to be three people on the mortgage. So if you had talked to your broker before you started the process, you'd have been able to assess who needs to go on that letter to make sure that you can match the affordability requirements to get the mortgage. So make sure that the right people are on the application, because this is one of the big mistakes that people make. And you can't just add a name to the application. It has to be there when you file for the original right to buy. Going directly to the bank, as I said, make sure you use a broker and paying broker fees up front. It seems like it's a very popular thing for people, instead of speaking to a mortgage broker or qualified professional, to get their information from TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, places where a lot of the times the people that are giving the information are not licensed professionals. They're just internet influencers. I'm not saying that the information that they're saying is broadly incorrect, but what I'm saying is the information may not apply to you. So you need to speak directly to a mortgage broker or a professional, explain your specific circumstances, explain what you're looking to do, that they can give you a bespoke solution to what you're looking to do. So getting your information offline or from friends or from family members can often lead you down the wrong path. So speak to a mortgage broker, whether you're doing a right to buy mortgage, joint borrower sole proprietor, or any kind of mortgage. Make sure you speak to a licensed professional who understands your circumstances and can explain the pros, the cons, and will not charge you up front. The reason why I stress that is even well-intentioned mortgage brokers, if they've been paid up front and then for whatever reason are unable to get you the mortgage, then you're just stuck because you've paid for something that you didn't get. So we work a little bit differently. The way that we work is we don't charge any fees up front. We show you the mortgage that you should qualify for in advance. Once we get you the mortgage, that's when you pay. So you pay an application fee after you get the agreement in principle, and after you get the full mortgage offer, that's the time when you would actually pay the broker fee. So there's no risk to you. You do want to work with a mortgage broker who's going to take the risk off you and put it on them. So they should do the work and get you the product or service that you need and then charge you. Another set of mistakes that people make is not reading and completing documents or missing deadlines, not gathering the documents that the lender has requested. I'll cover those two things off together. We live in a world of ChatGPT, AI, and short form content. So frequently, people don't read the documents that are sent over to them, or they say they'll get around to it. Bad move. Make sure that you're reading the documents. And if you're working with the right mortgage broker and the right solicitor, if you have any questions, they'll explain it to you. Never sign anything that you don't understand, because by signing it, you're saying you understand it. You can't then come back and say, well, I signed it, but I didn't understand it. Take the time to read through the documents, set time aside to complete the documents, and make sure that you're aware of any deadlines that are involved. This is not an emotional thing that you're doing, in the sense that you can't just go back to the broker or to the lender and say, I missed the deadline because my cat was sick. The deadlines are the deadlines for a reason, and they want to make sure that you move through the process quickly. But the mortgage and the mortgage process can only be as fast as the slowest person. And in my experience, the slowest person does tend to be the client, not intentionally, but because they haven't put time aside to complete the documents, read the documents, maybe book a follow-up appointment to understand what they're signing. So make sure that you set the time aside. It's a really important tip, and it can help you move your mortgage forward quickly and get the right product. Another thing to keep in mind is being open and honest with the broker. And some people speak to the broker too late and they listen to friends and family. So, again, let me just break that down. Being open and honest with your broker. I've had so many situations where someone has come to me for a mortgage. We've started the process. On the first conversation, I always ask them some key things. Do you have any late payments, missed payments, CCJs, defaults, payment arrangements? And they may say no. As soon as I see their credit report or see their bank statement, it's easy to discern that maybe they weren't being completely open and honest. Some people are embarrassed to say this, or some people, if I'm honest, are just trying to hide it. Don't do either. Be open and honest with your broker. And here's a good tip: if you don't feel that you can be open, and if you don't feel that you can be honest with the broker, then you're not dealing with the right broker. Most lenders do have a consideration that people are people. Sometimes people miss payments. Some people may have CCJs, particularly with parking tickets and mobile phone bills. And so that's kind of baked into the cake. So they understand that. But they don't like not to be told. So that's something called disclosure. People want to be told. So the bank wants to understand what's there. They don't want to find it. And a good broker will find it anyway. And you just want to make sure that you're on the right product. You don't want to get far down into the process and then find out that because you had a payment arrangement that you didn't disclose, you're unable to get a mortgage with that lender. So you've wasted 3 weeks, a month, and then you're placed with another lender, which we would have gone to in the first place had you told me the information about the missed payment, CCJ, or the thing that was on your credit file.